Hello, Simpson County School employees. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of kind of where we are as we move through this last week of virtual learning before we go on to fall break and then eventually return in our hybrid setting. I first want to thank you for all the work, time, and effort that you have put in the past 6 weeks or the past 6 months for that matter since we went into this COVID-19 shutdown, so to speak, in March. But I do want to thank you for everything that you've done for the students, and I think it's been very evident that we are doing everything we possibly can to educate the students in Simpson County and continue to provide them the services that our community comes to expect from our education system. So thank you, and I appreciate that greatly. When we return, we have approximately 75% of our students will be coming in person, 25% will remain all virtual. Just a little bit about the hybrid instruction. I know there's a little bit of, I have some of these same worries, a little stress and anxiety, and what's that going to look like? I've talked to several superintendents in school districts across the state that have already started, and they've all told me the same thing, that they had some of these same questions and angst as they moved into the hybrid instruction. But once they really moved into it, they kind of found their rhythm. And there's a lot of things that we don't know until we get into it that we didn't know that we needed to do, or problems or issues or concerns that may come up. I do want to let you know that we need to continue to focus on our standards that that we want our students to master or learn. But I do want you to know that the delivery and how that is done from teacher to teacher is that it's not any different than it would be had we been in person all the time. I want you as teachers, I want you to have the autonomy to be able to deliver that instruction on how you feel is the best way to deliver that instruction to your students. I think it's very important to focus on concepts and skills that the students need in those standards, and which of those standards are the most important, because we have to be realistic that we haven't been in school since March, and then the first 6 weeks of school has been virtual. So, and that's and we have students all over the spectrum on the support that they've needed, and where they are. So I think it's very important that we understand that we're going to have to meet kids where they are at that point in time. And we've had some students that have been more successful with virtual than others, and that was to be expected, and we knew that. Also, I think we have to be very careful on how we communicate with our students. I have a fear that I think some of our students will think that school is 2 days a week. That the 2 days they're in person is when they have school, and then they don't have anything else the other 3 days a week. And so we've got to be mindful that that school is still in session 5 days a week, and then we have to be able to balance the in-person with the virtual, and I think until we get involved in that and start working through that, we don't really know exactly what that will look like. I think it's very important that we provide lots of feedback to our kids. Probably more important than grades could be feedback in what we're providing to those kids, and on the work that they are doing for us, in the in-person / hybrid virtual setting. So keep that in mind, as you move through this when we get started back on October the 12th. I've kind of used this visual representation a couple different times, but if this is what we've normally covered in a regular school year, pre-COVID, not virtual, not NTI, this is what we've normally covered. It's unreasonable for us to think that we're going to be able to cover this much material when we haven't had students in our classrooms, in our schools for 6 months. I've heard people say that, by going hybrid, by doing this, we're only going to be able to cover this much now. I think we've got to keep in mind that, the expectation is not that we're going to be able to cover this much, that we want to try to cover as much as this as we possibly can. We're going to do the best that we can. That's all we can ask. This is what we normally do. And if we get to here, that's great. If we get to here, that's great. Or right in here, whatever that is what we're going to try to do. And that's the best that we can possibly do. I get asked a lot about test scores. I've always been one that says test scores will take care of itself. I believe that in this situation as well. We're going to do the best that we possibly can. And whatever the testing system looks like, whatever it is they tell us that we have to do and that we're going to do, we're going to do it. We're going to do the best that we possibly can. And it is what it is. And we're going to give the best faith. We're going to give a best faith effort this school year. And whatever it is happens with test scores is what happens. So let's just do what we have to do in order to meet the kids where we are, and we'll worry about that stuff when that time presents itself. I know the hybrid is all new, but you guys are professional educators. You've changed directions 3 or 4 times, 5 times, 6 times since March, and this is just another directional change that we're going to make. And I have the utmost confidence that it's not going to be an issue, that you guys are going to get it done. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Is it going to be a heavy lift? Yes. Is there going to be struggles? Yes. But we will get through it. We'll take it one day at a time, and hopefully that we're better October the 13th than we were October the 12th, and that we're better October 14th than we were October 13th. We've just got to take that mindset that we're going to get better each day at this, and I think that's happened through our virtual. And I think we've learned some things through our virtual that we didn't think that we could really do, that will help us moving forward as an educator and as a school district, moving forward in educating the students here in Simpson County. So, we'll just, like I said, we'll just do the best that we can and move forward and just take it day by day. A couple things that I do want to talk to you a little bit about on the safety side of it. Obviously, that masks are required now of everyone in the building at all times. We will build in mask breaks and some of those types of things, and that will look different at each school. But everyone is required to wear a mask while they're there. The social distancing part that I think is very important, that will keep us from quarantining people, is 6 feet and 15 minutes. That's the question that the health department is going to ask if and when we have a positive COVID case of a person in the building, is were you within someone for 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes? And if you have a mask on or not will not determine whether you get quarantined or not. It's 6 feet, 15 minutes. That is very important as you move through the day, especially when we bring more people into the building. Our goal is to have 0 contacts at school. And that's one of the reasons that I think the hybrid has been so successful in different school districts, is because they've been able to keep people further, 6 feet apart, and they're not in that close proximity for longer than 15 minutes. That's why it's important within your classroom that they stay 6 feet apart, because you will be in there longer than 15 minutes. Also, just remind you, if you feel sick or if you have any of the COVID symptoms, please stay home. I can give you some examples of some districts across the state from people I've talked to, is that, they had one adult who had been exposed to COVID but decided to come to work, and this person interacted with 3 different classrooms, and it ended up making them close or shut down an entire elementary school, because that one person had exposed so many people, and that person ended up testing positive, who'd had an exposure but just didn't say anything about it, decided to come on to school. So please be mindful of the symptoms that are with COVID, and if you're in that situation, please do not come to work, because once you are quarantined, when you return to school, the health department or your doctor will have to provide clearance documentation. There is no wiggle room in quarantining as we move through this. And, quarantining is what will shut us down, is when we have to quarantine, not so much the students, but when we have to quarantine staff within a school. We can only quarantine so many and then still be able to function without having our staff there. So it's very, very important that we be very mindful of the process of quarantining and social distancing and masking and proper hand hygiene. All those kind of things will keep us from having to quarantine. So just wanted to, I know you've heard all that before, but I just wanted to reiterate that. I look forward to our students and staff returning on October the 12th. It's going to be well over 200 days since we had students back in the building. And in order for us to stay in school, we're going to have to follow these safety protocols, as we move throughout the day. And I know after a while it's easy to let your guard down a little bit, but it's something that we're going to have to be diligent that we don't do in order to be able to continue to stay open. And to do that, we're going to have to put safety at the forefront so that we can, continue to stay open. As far as our feeding of the students, we're going to continue to feed those students, obviously the ones that are there that day, but when they leave on Monday, they will talk to, at the end of the day, they will receive meals for the next day. And we're still working through the process of being able to feed our 840 virtual students. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have a plan in place in order to do that, because those students are not coming back on campus. So all that just to let you know that we are planning and moving forward and looking forward to October the 12th when we get back from fall break and getting those kiddos back in the buildings with us. And I know you're looking forward to that. I just ask you to continue to, be patient, be flexible, be kind. There's going to be bumps in the road, and we will get through that too. And we'll move forward and try to find solutions for any and all problems that come our way. But we, like I said, I look forward to returning after fall break. And if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to call, email, reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer any question you have the best that I possibly can. And I would encourage you, if you haven't, to read the flagship document from KDE, the Healthy at School document, the COVID-19 metric that the governor put out 2 weeks ago, or our reopening plan that we put out 2 weeks ago as well on when we open in hybrid. So hope everyone has a great rest of the week. Have a great fall break. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy that time. You deserve that time off, and relax and kind of reset for when we come back in October. Thank you.